I'm Robin Gonzalez, and I'm the president of Zia Learning, located in Chicago, Illinois. I began my work with online, which eventually became known as blended, which now is oftentimes known as personalized learning, almost 20 years ago at Benito Juarez Community Academy, a Chicago public high school located just down the street from Zia Learning offices today. My work at Benito Juarez centered around leveraging online learning to help my most at-risk students who were at risk of dropping out. They needed specific courses and specific programs in order to graduate on time, and the school simply couldn't provide everything they needed. So it was in many ways a logistic solution. It didn't take long for me to realize they were going to need a lot of support. And that's where blended learning comes from, the idea that students can take advantage of online or digital learning opportunities, but they're going to need face-to-face support in order to do well. My program was unique in so much as that blended learning had not yet been defined. It was happening in pockets here and there, but I don't think it quite had a name yet. The surprising thing is that year, we turned in the highest pass rates in the state of Illinois for online learning, and people began to ask, what's going on over there? From that experience, we built out a model, and it was all about making sure that there was a face-to-face teacher to support online learning, but specifically helping those teachers to understand what is your job in this new classroom. If my job isn't to be that sage on the stage, then what am I doing? And we realized early on, I'm facilitating learning. We were able to increase pass rates across the district from 30% to over 80% district-wide implementing this model, and it was always all about training teachers to facilitate learning and ensuring that students had the skills that they would need to succeed as well. The framework is now in use across the United States. We have over 52 charter schools that have adopted the framework for all of their teachers. We have schools in Charlotte-Mecklenburg using the framework. We have schools in Chicago Public using the framework. Again, in helping teachers to understand, how do I teach in this new classroom?
Professional development is a really important factor because teachers come to us with lots of different ability levels. Some people have the intuition, some people struggle, and so being able to have that training and support throughout the program with new platforms and with new styles of teaching, whether it's to implement station rotation model in your classroom or be able to support students who are taking a la carte classes. We're excited for our teachers to do the online modules through Zia Learning, to be able to get some common language and to really be able to know that we're all operating with the same understanding of what blended learning is. To get us on the same page and get us some common language is going to be a huge benefit for us.
So we're interested not only in preparing teachers to teach, but also in preparing students to learn in the blended or personalized classroom. One thing I never want to see is what I sometimes call the kick model. Kids in cubicles clicking computers. Students should be collaborating with one another. The teacher should be interacting with their students. It's critical that we train teachers how to teach in this classroom and how to get kids out of those cubicles.
I think a lot of people have the perception that we're going to turn our kids into office cubicle, learning machines. That's not the idea behind blended learning. Successful learners are not only going to be empowered by technology, but they have to be mature communicators that are going to be effective participants in group work and project-based learning.
But at the same time, students may not have all the skills that they actually need to be successful in the 21st century classroom. They have the tech skills, and many people will say they know more about technology than their teacher, but do they actually have autonomous learning skills? Do they actually have time management, goal setting skills? Have they ever had control of their own path and pace of learning? And that can be a real challenge for students.
I think people get the idea that the teacher can teach Western migration of pioneers and the kids just go off playing Oregon Trail for half an hour. That is not blended instruction. The easy default position is to stand and deliver, which blended learning is supposed to change. Pedagogically, we have to be focused on shifting the mindset from direct instruction. A lot of it is changing the way they teach. It really is purposeful, it is data-driven, and what happens in the classroom is really building on that knowledge, constructively and critically assessing their knowledge, whether it's through a guided activity, through kinesthetic learning, through a group project or project-based learning, the teacher is really there to be a guide, a facilitator of learning.
We started to realize that the face-to-face teacher was a key component of students doing well. Teachers were blending the best of the face-to-face classroom with the online learning components, and essentially it freed them up. The teachers are no longer bound to the front of the classroom. They're no longer bound to the content and the delivery of content. Teachers are able to work with small groups of students, work with individual students, and personalize that learning experience.
I'm able to do a little bit more one-on-one with students, and in that I can see where their deficits are, where they're having problems, where they're going wrong, especially in math. Knowing that and being able to kind of sit with them in a more intimate setting allows me to get to know them better and really see where I can help them the most.
Blended learning enables me to build those relationships, because if I have a small group instruction versus teaching 35 kids at one time, we're able to talk and I'm able to get their point of view and I'm able to reflect as a teacher.
The two things I never want to see: a teacher only in the front of the classroom, refusing to give up their position and hanging on to the old model, or conversely, the teacher in the back of the classroom feeling that they've been displaced by the technology. At the same time, I want to challenge providers of curriculum, of digital curriculum. When I see content that looks almost identical to what it did 20 years ago, that's troubling. We can do so much more. I feel we're really just at the very beginning. We can actually achieve this goal of an authentic 21st century learning environment. More importantly, we can begin to eradicate that achievement gap. It's where my purpose and my passion has been all along. Zia Learning is focused on working with teachers, working with students, working with districts and providers to ensure that blended and personalized learning is correctly implemented. And that means creating an authentic model that's truly interactive, truly engaging, and that authentically personalizes learning for students.